You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
It's official, folks. Daredevil's on tonight's She-Hulk, or tomorrow's She-Hulk, depending on which part of the country you're in. We've seen the clip. We're going to share it with you after the first break. But yeah, we've seen the She-Hulk, Daredevil, they fight. It's going to be fantastic. Okay, it's just going to be Daredevil, but it's Charlie Cox. He's back. It's what we've all wanted. It's time to rejoice. It's time to put all the hatred aside, all the divisiveness. Let's all sit down together and watch tonight's She-Hulk and enjoy the return of Charlie Cox, shall we? Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is Wednesday, New Comic Book Day. Make sure you swing by your comic shop, pick up your latest books. There's some really good stuff in the shops this week, so you want to check that out. Tonight or tomorrow, depending on where you are, will be She-Hulk Episode 8. Yep, we're really that far into it. We're into the penultimate episode, and they're bringing back this guy. Yes, Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and they're also introducing us to, you ready for this? Leapfrog. Yes, the comic book villain turned hero Leapfrog. It seems that Daredevil and She-Hulk become embroiled against each other because of this Leapfrog. And Entertainment Tonight got a quick clip of the two. So if JD is ready, we're going to show it to you, share it with you real quick. That's Daredevil on the car.
Oh! My car!
You need to back off.
And waste this outfit? Eugene, get out of here!
Go Super Sue!
You're making a mistake.
You made a mistake when you messed with my client!
Is now I'm gonna whoop your ass.
My ass remains unwhooped.
Yeah, let's fix that.
All right. There's not a lot to that, but it's very cool to see. Eugene is Leapfrog. He's the one driving the car. And Matt's in the yellow and red outfit, similar to his Netflix outfit. Now, I'm not sure why he's wearing the yellow and red. My guess is that it has to do with the fact that he had it made for him by Luke Jacobson, and Luke probably decided to add extra color. Maybe because, he couldn't travel with the Daredevil costume from New York to LA. So at least that's my guess. We'll see how that works out and how the two of them, and that's classic comic book, right? Misunderstanding, the heroes fight each other, they eventually become friends and they work it out. But we're also building towards the big finale, and what's going on with the intelligentsia and all of her life being manipulated and stuff. So it's going to be an important episode regardless of Daredevil being in it, but it's freaking Daredevil. So guys, be ready for that tonight. That's at midnight LA time, 3 a.m. on the East Coast. And we will definitely talk about it next Tuesday. Looking forward to that. Hey, Cool. Hey, Ed. Glad to see you guys here. Remember to hit the thumbs up and the like buttons and those things while you're here. Today, we're going to cover a little bit of news, just a little, and we're going to talk a little bit about the latest episode of Quantum Leap, and then we're going to talk about the latest Rings of Power. That's pretty much the agenda for today. So we're going to get into it. Happy New Comic Book Day, Josh. Thank you. To you as well. Like I said, remember to get into your shops today and pick up your latest books. There are some really good books coming out right now. So also keep in mind Friday night, maybe Thursday at midnight Friday, we're going to get Werewolf by Night from Marvel. So this is a big week. We got Andor drop last night. We're going to get She-Hulk tonight. And then we're going to get Werewolf by Night and the new Rings of Power. House of the Dragons going on. We're going to be coming up to a bunch of good stuff. Tales of the Jedi is going to be coming out soon. Black Adam's going to hit theater. I mean, the third season of Pennyworth is going to be coming out soon. There's some great stuff going on. Also in December, we're going to get the third season of Jack Ryan. I'll be covering that as well. They're going to drop that all at once, so that'll be all 8 episodes at once, so I'll probably binge watch the hell out of it, but I'll spread it out. So, if you only get to watch a couple episodes a week, we'll spread it out to cover through the month of December. So, all right, let's get what we got here. The experience, JD says, I do have 1-minute Leapfrog intro video. Oh, sure. Let's see the Leapfrog video intro.
As you know, the search has been long and grueling to fill the role of Marvel's fan-favorite character, Leapfrog. These are the lucky few that have made it to the final round.
Hi, I'm Ginger Gonzaga, and I'm auditioning for the role of Leapfrog. Whoa.
Freeze, villains!
Freeze, villain!
Freeze, villain!
Before the might of Leapfrog!
I was kind of hoping to get cast as She-Hulk, but I'll take Leapfrog.
Also, I'm not green in real life. I painted myself for this.
Freeze before the might of the leap.
You don't think it's going to confuse people that I'm playing Leapfrog?
What's his superpower again? He jumps really high. Ribbit.
Ribbit.
Oh.
Ribbit, mother.
Freeze, villains, before the might of Leapfrog. I got chills just then. Hey, did you guys feel it too?
Okay, the Kermit cameo makes that. That really does. So, hey, Lyle, how you doing? All right, let's see. Let's hit the news, shall we? We got a couple bits of information today. Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which is a follow-up to WandaVision in a sense. One of the other characters in it, besides Agatha Harkness, Catherine Hahn, who's going to be returning, is Emma Caulfield Ford, who will be reprising her role as Dottie, who was, if you remember WandaVision, she was the head of the neighborhood watch or whatever, the neighborhood committee got everybody together. She was the blonde woman that everybody had to be nice to. She also came out yesterday in a Vanity Fair profile announcing that she had multiple sclerosis. So, to see her in the news back to back, but she used to be in shows like Good Girls, Once Upon a Time. She was on Supergirl, Royal Pains, Fear the Walking Dead, and Beverly Hills 90210. So, and then she was Anya on 85 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, Emma Caulfield Ford, but she will be back as Dottie. And I remember when we watched the series, there was some expectation that she might have been the character of Arcane. So she might still be. I don't know. It is a Coven of Chaos, so you kind of need more than one witch for a coven. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But so Dottie is returning for Agatha, Coven of Chaos. All right. In other news, do you guys remember the Spawn movie from long time ago? Starred Michael Jai White and um, um, Michael Sheen. No, not Michael Sheen. Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen was the bad guy. This was before he played the president on West Wing. That's how long ago it was. Well, Todd McFarlane is talking about doing a new Spawn movie forever. And I know one of the things they've talked about doing is making it kind of Jaws-like, where it's everybody's reaction to Spawn more than seeing Spawn. But currently, the film in production has Jamie Foxx attached to it, if I'm remembering that correctly. But it just found 3 new writers. They're bringing in 3 writers to work on this. Scott Silver, who worked on the Joker script. Malcolm Spellman, who worked on Falcon and the Winter Soldier and is writing the script for Captain America New World Order. And then a new screenwriter, a rising screenwriter named Matt Mixon. And the 3 of them are working together on Spawn, which has, like I said, Jamie Foxx attached to star. Now, I found that kind of interesting because to do Spawn right, it's almost like doing like Deadpool, you know, because his face is all messed up underneath the mask. You have to have the mask on most of the time, or the messed up face. So to get an actor like Jamie Foxx to come in to play the part is big deal. Will he be willing to make the commitment to doing it like Ryan Reynolds has for Deadpool? Will he be okay without his face on the screen 80% of the time? You know, sure, we can get the before stories and flashbacks and dream sequences. You can find ways to get his face on camera, but overall, it's got to be either the messed up face or the mask to make Spawn work right. So, will Jamie Foxx be willing to do that? Or are they going to make some changes and we're going to see his face all the time? I don't know. You know, it's like the Judge Dredd movie. When Carl Urban did it, he kept that bucket on the entire time, and it was an awesome movie. Stallone kept taking it off. We'll have to see. But yes, McFarlane's been talking about doing Spawn for a long time. Hopefully this will actually get going now, because it would be nice to see superhero movies that come from other avenues. I mean, we got Marvel, we got DC, but there are some great universes out there. There's a lot of independent comics like Image. JD says he took it off in the first 2 minutes to say, deal with it, mothers. Okay. Has to say, deal with it, mothers. Okay. Josh says, yeah. Or like Carl Urban, yeah. That's what's bugging me about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, was half of the city seeing him without his mask. Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true. But we're talking about a few things today, JD. We're talking right now about the Spawn movie getting to new writers. We're going to talk Quantum Leap, and then we're going to talk Rings of Power. So, but I was saying that there are a lot of other comic groups that could be great movies. Valiant showed some potential with the Bloodshot movie. I think Vin Diesel may not have been the best casting, but, you know, I think it wasn't too bad. The Spawn movie that's been developed is yes, exactly, JD. It's what we were talking about. They hired 3 writers: Marcus Spellman from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Scott Silver from the Joker, and a newcomer named Matt Mixon are supposed to be working on it together. Hey, Kenneth. So, Yeah, so I'm hoping this actually works because I'd like to see them start tapping these other, other comic lines. I mean, Sony has Spider-Man, but they also have some of the Valiant books, and they put out a Bloodshot. Let's get a Ninjak and an Ultimate Warrior or Eternal Warrior and some of these other characters, or Image. I mean, an Invincible movie, Spawn movie, a Shadowhawk movie. Those characters, there's a lot of great characters out there outside of Marvel and DC that they could do. That would be a lot of fun. A Vampirella movie, a Red Sonja movie, those kind of things. So, though Red Sonja is supposed to be happening. Fighting American movie, that would be interesting. Ed says, I hope they keep Spawn dark and don't try to force unneeded jokes or bad attempts at humor in it. So you remember the first Spawn movie. JD said, the other producer JD says, but Vin was probably the only reason that film got made, though. And I think Sony was going to make it either way, but Vin was a good, did get it out there. But I don't think Vin has the acting chops to pull off Bloodshot. I think it's a more complicated character than that. But it did introduce the Valiant world, so if they follow up with it and grow it, great. If not, So, all right. You know what? Let's go ahead and take our first commercial break a little early. We'll come back and we will talk Quantum Leap right after this.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
Hey everybody, I'm David Boer, the writer of Kanto, Killer Queens, and All New Firefly, and you are watching The Experience.
I was just thinking, guys, that Nerd Killer Warfare commercial made me think the age-old question of who would win, Batman versus Superman. And everybody always says, well, given enough time to prep, Batman will win. And I'm thinking, no, he won't. Because if you think about it, if Superman was actually angry enough to fight Batman and wanted to hurt him, he would just stand a mile away where Batman doesn't know where he is, and he'd lobotomize Batman with an eye blast. It would be seconds. Batman would be like, I have to take on... There's no prep for that time. It would just be like that. It's a ridiculous fight. Because you have to make so many things come together for Batman to make it equal ground. It's not an equal fight. If you have to have him have prep time and all this other stuff, it's just that we want Batman to win because he's the non-powered one. We want Batman to be amazing. But he's just a guy. And he shouldn't be able to beat these people. You know? JD, let's see. Artist JD says, Batman is a deity. It hasn't been revealed yet. How is Thanos going to snap when Batman already has his fingers? And Ed says, exactly. Thank you. I've been saying that for years and was so tired of the kryptonite argument when Superman can fly overhead and kill Batman every time. Yeah. You know, it's the answer is to the age-old question of, you know, who will win, Superman or Batman, is who does the writer want to win? Because you could write it any direction. But if it was literally just Batman versus Superman, Superman's going to win. He picks him up, takes him into space. By Batman. He burns him from a mile away with a laser beam or eye beams. By Batman. Freezes him with a super breath. By Batman. All of this could be done before Batman could ever get a piece of kryptonite out. Same as who's faster, Flash or Supes. Yeah, I never understood the care for that because Superman can fly through space. I mean, Batman continues to let the Joker escape only because Batman is going to bring back everyone the Joker has killed because he's Batcan. Yeah, Batman. It's a little overboard at this, folks. Batman's just a guy. But Batman knew that he'd do that a day ago, so he snuck in while Clark was asleep and put in kryptonite contact lenses. Touché. Ed drops a mountain on his head by Batman. Batman is faster than both. Jesus. Okay, folks, Batman is not Chuck Norris, and Chuck Norris ain't that great either. You just go ahead and just dissuade you of that. So, yeah. It's a ridiculous argument, you know. You want a better argument? Who would win a fight between stormtroopers and red shirts on Star Trek? Then you can actually start figuring out logic. Eventually, someone's got to hit, right? Crazy Quilt will kill them both. Game over. Oh, Crazy Quilt. Wow, Ed. That's vague. Jay says he's no damn Wickline. Well, thank you, Jay. JD says, seeing as he's fictional character, whatever you think he can do, he can. JD artist says, and boy, have writers exploited this. Yes, it is ridiculous how much. Yeah, there's a cartoon online I saw that Batman is spending all this time prepping for a fight with Superman, and he just gets slower, and he's having a harder and harder time, and finally the day comes, and Batman can't even move. He's just laying there. He goes, I prepped. I did everything I could. Why can't I move? And Superman's like, well, because about a week ago I snuck into your room and gave you polio. It's like, shoot, that's grim, but, you know. Ed says, Batman can't kill Superman because his mom's name is Martha. You know, I am going to do something I'm going to actually defend the concept of that moment in the film. What he was doing was not because they both have a mother named Martha. It was a moment that humanized Superman. It was a moment that made Batman realize he wasn't just fighting an alien. He was fighting someone who had been raised on Earth, who had parents, who has people that love him. It broke through Batman's desire to take him out because of him being a deadly alien, and made him stop and think about it. That's what the scene was supposed to do. Did it work? No. But that's what the scene was supposed to do. So, artist JD says, Batman can cure polio, so have at it, Clark. It's a ridiculous argument. Yeah, it really is. And why would, I'm pretty sure Superman could kill most ever. The good fight is Superman, Captain Marvel, and I don't even like Captain Marvel or Shazam. I don't even like Shazam, but then you got Magic versus Superman, and then that at least becomes a decent fight. It says your version makes sense. Superman versus the Sentry or Hyperion or all the other, or Superman versus Homelander. That would be interesting. JD says, I will give Frank Miller this. He made me believe his Batman could beat Superman. The reason Batman can beat Superman is because Superman doesn't have a reason to beat Batman. Superman respects Batman and what he does. Batman just looks at everybody as a threat. So, okay, I think we've spent enough time on that. Let's go ahead and move on. Ed says, I would love to see Superman beat the crud out of Homelander. Yeah, I would too. And Jay says, here's my argument. It was lazy writing. You had Lois show up for a few seconds. Later, why not have Clark say, please save my mom? That stops Bats from a second. In that the second has Lois come in and save Lex. And his mother, her name is Martha Kent. I think the thing they were going for is Bruce is obsessed with his parents and getting revenge for his parents. So the fact that both of them were named Martha made it a little stronger. Again, scene didn't work. But I see the intent behind it. So I don't think it was as silly as we make it out to be, but it didn't work. JD says, I think you nailed it, Dan. It was the moment Batman realized Superman has layers. Yeah. He's like an onion. All right. Enough. I'm going to go on to Quantum Leap now. I'm still mixed on this show. I think it's a great cast. Again, you put Ernie Hudson in anything, and you've got me at least paying attention. Mason Alexander Park is wonderful in this. The few scenes they get, they need to be in more. The guy playing Ben is great. He showed a real good range last night in the latest. Oh, I say last night. It was actually Raymond Lee. In the boxing episode was really good. Caitlin Bassett is really good as Addison. So, I mean, what we're seeing has been great. And I love the fact that they brought Susan Dial back as Beth Calavici. So Al's wife is played by Al's wife. My problem with the show is still the same as it has been, which is we're spending too much time back at the lab. There's this whole subplot going on with Al's daughter, and now she has his handheld control device for Ziggy, and she's hacking into the system, and they can't force her out without shutting Ziggy down. And if Ziggy's shut down, it'll take about a week to boot him back up, which means that Ben would be out there for a week without any help. And it's like, I don't know. It just, Quantum Leap is on NBC, and it's being replayed on Peacock like 2 nights after. So you can see it Sunday nights on NBC, and then on Tuesday it's available on Peacock. So the third episode has Ben go into the body of a boxer who is coming up for a title fight, and his older brother is suffering from PTSD. That story is really good. That story is compelling, is worth following. How they get around teaching Ben to fight is interesting. What happens when it goes wrong. Just a lot of that is entertaining. I like that part of the show. I don't dislike the other stuff. It's just very dramatic, and it doesn't feel like Quantum Leap when they do that, because that's not what the original series was. The original series focused on Sam, and Al would pop in. We didn't spend, 20, 30, 40% of the time back in base. And some of the episodes they've spent even more than that. So now they have been very diverse. The first episode, he jumps into a white guy. Second episode, he jumps into an Asian astronaut. The third episode into a black boxer. And it looks like episode 4, from what we've seen at the end of 3, is he leaps in the body of a woman. So they're kind of hitting all the ground there. Don't know what's going to happen, but we'll have to wait for episode 4. But again, the stories with Ben is very interesting, and it feels like Quantum Leap. When they get out of that and they're focusing on Addison didn't eat enough and she passed out, and Janice is doing all this other stuff, and all the support crew, the supporting cast, is where it's like, is that really necessary? Is that part of the show necessary? And I don't know if it is or not. That's where I'm having a problem with the show, is that I don't know if I care about those people. I don't know if we're supposed to care about those people. And we keep finding out that, now we find out that Ben is on a path. He's trying to get to a certain place, and they've already blown out one of the rules of Quantum Leap, which is you can travel anywhere in your own lifetime. Well, the latest jump has him going before he was born, so the parameters are off, and it's like, oh man, they're already changing things up. But all right, Ed says, anyone else getting a lag? Dan's lips don't match the words he's saying for me. That's because I'm doing an old kung fu movie. Understand what I'm saying? You are greater. Your kung fu is good, but mine is better. Looks fine to me. Clarice from accounting ate Janice's lunch again, even though she's clearly marked it. I know. I hate when that happens. So, all right. You know what? Godzilla's behind you. Oh, no. Let's go ahead. We're going to take our second break now. And we come back, we will focus on Rings of Power for the rest of the episode. So, JD, take us away.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for 2 very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Hi, I'm Hedwig Hale, author of She Bites. You're watching The Experience.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We are going to talk about episode 6 of Rings of Power. Now, Triple B says, still haven't started watching it. I don't have the time after watching Rings of Power. Those episodes are long. Okay, so you haven't started watching Quantum Leap. And JD says, every time I watch your open, I get really sad that there's not a Peacemaker season 2. Yet. Supposed to be getting one, so hopefully we'll be getting that starting soon. This new episode is called Udun, and Udun is what Adar calls himself, an elf who's been corrupted. They call themselves the Udun. This episode is different than the others. There's been, in the 5 previous episodes, or in the first 4 episodes, they kind of gave us this piecemeal thing. It's like, okay, we're going to follow Galadriel, we're going to follow Elrond, we're going to follow Nori, and we're going to follow Arondir. Okay. Well, and then Arondir, we're going to add in Bronwyn and Theo. All right. And that's going to grow, and that's going to grow. Galadriel, we're going to introduce you to this guy, Halbrand, who might be Sauron. He might be the king of the Southlands. We'll figure it out as we go. Elrond, we're going to take him over, and you're going to hang out with Durin. You're going to fall in love with Durin. You're going to love the interaction between Durin and Elrond. They're going to be great. It's going to be the feel-good part of the show. Nori, we're going to give her the stranger. Yep, you're going to think he's Gandalf. He's going to act like Gandalf. He's going to look like Gandalf. But we're not going to say he's Gandalf, he's the stranger. That's pretty much what the show's been. And each episode kind of went, well, we're going to focus on these 3. Elrond and Arondir, you guys can take the day off. The next week, okay, Durin, come on back in. Nori, you and the stranger can be off this week. Yeah, and we've added other characters too. The Isildur and Elendil and the Queen Regent from Numenor. That's all coming with Galadriel. And then over here we've had, with Elendil, we had Celebrimbor, who builds the giant furnaces that make the Rings of Power and all that going on. And with Nori, we get some more of the Harfoots, but keep that pretty small. And then with Arondir and them, we also, the rest of the camps and stuff, we meet Adar, and then the orcs and stuff. So we've had these 4 factions that we've been watching. And they usually give us 3, sometimes 4. The 5th episode gave us all 4. Ed says, every time I see the opening, I wonder what movie that picture of Scarlett Johansson in the white top is from. That's from Black Widow. She wears a white suit in the Black Widow movie. Jenna calls the stranger Baby Gandalf. I'm still not convinced he's Gandalf. Just because we're in the Second Age. Sauron shows up before Gandalf, and that's all in the Third Age. So Sauron arrives, then it's Gandalf, Radagast the Brown, and the 2 blue wizards show up around the same time. So we're way early for it to be Gandalf. Now, if maybe Gandalf comes and goes back, but that doesn't make sense, or that's a major change to Tolkien lore. And while they're adding characters and stuff, they don't seem to be making outright changes. So maybe he is being that will then become Gandalf eventually. Possible. That is possible. They always have multiple names. They don't take the name. He doesn't take the name Gandalf until he arrives in the Third Age, just like Sauron has a different name in Radagast, and that's why I'm not that familiar with the Blue Wizards' names. Ed says, doesn't Gandalf yell "Flame of Udun" just before he tells the Balrog, "You shall not pass"? So is that a different Udun? All right, you got me there, Ed. That one I don't know. All right, guys. JD, we're gonna pack up the show. I've been stumped. We're out of here. No. Let me look into that. Flame of Udun. Yeah, let me look that one up, and I'll get back to you next week on that one. So that's how the show's been. It's been kind of jumping around, following these different groups, and I've been fine with that because some of them are more intense than others. You get this super intense moment is just with Arondir, and he's trying to escape the orcs or all that, and then you get a little breather with Nori being silly, or a little levity with Elrond and Durin just joking around with each other. The table scene is still, that's one of my favorites. Just him, explaining how the Mithril could save all the elves, and the fate of the elves are in Durin's hands, and he's like, say it again. I want to hit again. I love that. I love that he lied about the table. That's just, Durin is by far my favorite character so far in the series. But Durin and Elrond got the 6th episode off. So did Nori and the Harfoots and the Stranger and Celebrimbor and Gil-galad and all of those characters that are with those 2 groups. Those are off to the side. We got the other 2 groups. And it doesn't necessarily feel like we got the 2 groups, because it felt like this was a Rondir and Bronwyn's episode as they're taking on the orcs. And the orcs storm the castle, and it's an intense, it is, this is the Helm's Deep episode, which I found amazing. Maybe he was saying Balrogs were a creation of Uldan. Oh, that could be. That's a good one, JD. Ed says, absolutely, that banter between Durin and Elrond is the best scene of the series so far for me. Yeah, I love that. But so we really focused on the humans that are still in the Southlands. They're in the tower. Half of them have bailed. And the orcs are charging the tower. And Arondir comes up with this great plan, which basically gets all the humans out of there except him. And, it's a trap. he sets a trap for them, and it takes out a lot of them. And I thought that was brilliant. It says, I never thought of it that way, JD. Good call. That would make sense. Yeah. But at the same time, Galadriel and Isildur and Elendil and the Queen are all headed to Middle-earth. They're headed to the Southlands with Halbrand and a bunch of horses on 3 boats. And I thought there was no way they were going to get there in time to help. Because it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like the times were the same. And we see them pull the trick, and then they prep for fighting. And this is this bait and switch thing multiple times, which is really cool because you get the intensity of the orcs charging the keep or the watchtower, and then the realization that nobody's there, then the trap, and it's like, oh, they got away. Oh, good, they got away. And all they did was they went to the other town. And they decided to stand the ground at the town. It's like, no, just keep running. Keep running. But they decide to stand their ground there. And the orcs come in and they have this huge battle. And it's like, oh man, there's no way they're going to win. And when it flips and it looks like the humans have won and they've had their moment, and it's like, this is awesome. Oh, that was a great fight. And then you realize, no, those weren't actually the orcs. Those were the humans that went and swore fealty to the orcs. And the orcs are coming. And you have another battle. And it's just, oh my God. And it's heart-wrenching. And they fight. And at the last possible moment, the sun's starting to come up. And the riders of Numenor come over the hill. And like I said, it's like Helm's Deep. It's that moment where they come riding in, and Galadriel and Halbrand, and they just kick ass, and they look like they win the day. And it just is really a neat episode. You're kind of like going up and down and up and down, and you get to the end, and it's like, okay, the humans won. Adar has been captured, and you get all this moment. And you're like, okay, this is good. And they've got the sword thing that they were looking for, and they've got it wrapped up. And Arondir gives it to Theo to get rid of. And Theo opens it up, and it's an axe hand. It's a hand axe. They don't have the sword. Someone else has it. And you're like, wait, what the hell? We're done fighting. Everybody's partying. They've just announced the new king is here. The Queen Regent is seeing people. Everybody is relaxed. There's a little romantic moment between Galadriel and Halbrand. It's just, what is going on? And then we see the old guy, Waldreg, that led half of the people out of the watchtower to the orcs that then got killed. And he goes up and he slams the sword into this slot, and he turns it. Ed says, I knew that was coming when he told the old man to come here. I have a task for you all. Yeah. And you know what? I heard that too. And I lost track of that because I got so caught up in the episode. And he does, and it breaks the dam, and all this water starts moving. And you're like, well, what's with all the water? I don't understand. What's with all... And then you see all the digging the orcs had been doing was all building canals and stuff and sending the water into the base of a mountain that turns out to be a volcano. And all this cold water pouring into this hot lava creates everything you need scientifically to cause a volcano to erupt. So here you have all these humans at the base of this mountain celebrating their victory. Everything starts shaking, and the freaking mountain explodes and chunks of lava start flying into the town. And yeah, this is the origin story of Mount Doom. It is just intense. And I know some people aren't liking this series, but this was a fantastic episode. And again, it's that up and down, oh, the orcs are coming, the humans are going to die. Oh, they trapped the orcs. It's a trick. Oh, they're going to stand their grounds. Oh, the humans have won. No, the humans have lost because the orcs, it just, and then this final scene is this lava is flying out and killing people, and people are rushing, trying to help, and the queen's in trouble. Elendil's trying to get to the queen. Isildur doesn't know what's going on. And Galadriel is standing there, angry as this cloud of smoke and ash and fire and whatever the hell it is just washes over her. And that's the end of the episode. And it was just incredibly intense. And I have to stop myself and remember I'm watching a TV show. Yes, it's probably the most expensive TV show ever made. They put like $400 million into this show. But still, this was just... I don't know how people who don't like this show could see that and not get involved. Because it does feel like it's akin to the Peter Jackson films. It's just as intense, but everybody seems so hung up on, well, that's not my Galadriel. That's not what I had looked at. Oh, you can't have a black elf. Oh, you can't. Just get into the story. This thing is awesome. Literally, it just blew me away. I sat there after watching it just like in awe with my jaw on the ground. Ed says, I love this series, and so far, I like the new twist they put into the Silmarillion. It's way better than the Hobbit 3-part movie was. How could Galadriel possibly survive that? That hot smoke and ash would torture. I can't wait to see where they go with that. Yeah, this. And the funny thing is that it feels like a lot of people felt that it was one season. That we were going to get all these reveals and stuff. We are 2 episodes left. We're not going to find out much. This is part of the deal is it's going to be 5 seasons. So we're looking at the equivalent of the first of 5 movies done over 8 hours or close to 8 hours, because they're not doing 20-minute episodes. They're doing longer 40, 50, 60-minute episodes. Triple B says, I'm liking the series so far, and I'm glad I've watched it all. I don't think I can watch 5 seasons in a row. Yeah, you would not want to binge watch this. Yeah. I remember when the extended editions of the first Lord of the Rings movies came out. My wife at the time and I took a weekend and we watched all of them. And what we would do is they were on 2 disc sets. We'd watch the first one. We'd get some food. We'd watch the second one. Then we relax a bit, maybe take a little nap or something. Watch the first half of the second one, get some dinner, and just kind of work, then went to bed. So over the weekend, we watched all of it. It was intense, but I couldn't imagine if they're all 8-episode seasons, 5 seasons, 40 hours of this series, trying to watch it all at once would be overwhelming. Just the emotional levels they hit in this most recent episode are just astonishing. So, yeah, if you're not watching this, catch up, because I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. We've got 2 episodes left. We got to see what's happening with Galadriel and Elendil and Isildur and Arondir and Bronwyn, and who survives and what state it's in. Is Halbrand going to survive? is, I don't think we're going to get who Sauron is. I don't think we've even met who Sauron is at this point. Jay says, once a year we watch all the extended versions of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits, usually on vacation. Nice. Now you got more things to watch with it. Are you guys watching the series, Jay? Or are you guys waiting until all of it and binge watching it? Doesn't it take a year to watch all of them? Yes. I gave him a multiple choice question. He gives yes. That's why he's one of my producers. Ed said, who that stranger is when he froze the water to heal himself and that those white elves showed up at his landing site. I'm like, what is up with that? Yeah. I don't think we're going to find out who the stranger is either. Singing Piranha says, only watched 2 episodes, didn't catch me. It gets more intense and it gets better. So you might want to give it more if you got the time. Jay says, we let a few episodes build, then watch. Well, episode 6 was super intense and the best one yet. Even without Durin, which is tough because I didn't think there would be a good episode without Durin in it, but yeah. All right, guys. That is our show for today. Definitely check it out. Remember, She-Hulk tonight with Daredevil. Tomorrow we'll talk about the newest episode of Andor. And remember, Werewolf by Night drops this weekend. You'll want to catch that. We'll talk about that next week. And stick around. There's Comics Collectibles with Rex and John right after this. Then Jesse James will be on with his sales show. And then Wednesday Warriors with Joey Galvez and Ambrosia. So we got a great lineup here. You want to stick around for it. Jay says, I'm still going to watch that, JD, along with Reacher and Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan 3 is coming soon, so definitely get on that. Reacher 2 just started filming. Reacher and Jack Ryan are both awesome series. So Josh says, an ex of mine used to go to the annual screenings of Lord of the Rings, extended edition cosplay and everything. I think it was like 14 hours. Wow. It says the first 2 episodes are the weakest episodes. It was slow burn and gets so much better after episode 2. Yep. So, okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Good night, everybody.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.